Hey guys, welcome back to the Geek View. My name is Quincy and this is Jeremy, and you're watching Disney Plus.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Oh my god, just throwing all these different uh jingles. But we're here to talk about Moon Knight. This actually is going to be covering episodes 1, 2, and 3 because that's how we do things here on the Informal Podcast. We're just so informal like that.
Also because Quincy didn't want to watch the show for the longest time, and
Sometimes I like shows, sometimes I don't like shows, and anyone who's gonna start a podcast to be like, I don't want to do that show, and then you have no choice because everybody wants to do that show. Well, tell me, do you like Moon Knight?
yeah, I love Moon Knight.
I don't love it. You love it?
No, I think it's really, really good. I think it's probably the best Disney Plus series so far. I think it's better than both. What is it? WandaVision.
I love
Loki,
WandaVision
and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I didn't like that one, but WandaVision. I mean,
Yeah, I liked it. Well, I liked it way better than WandaVision.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
I heard so much of WandaVision.
This one's a lot better. I think in terms of pacing and storytelling, it's a lot better than the other three. It stands above the rest. It stands out compared to the others.
Bold claim. That is a bold claim.
It does. For one thing, it doesn't feel like a normal Marvel movie or
TV show. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That I agree with for sure.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that this series is being directed by this guy who I'm not gonna say a no name, but he doesn't have a lot of experience behind him.
No credits.
His name is Mohammed Diab, right?
Is that the reason why it has so many Khonshu is actually an Egyptian god, right?
Yeah, he is part of the Egyptian
I
pantheon.
think they did probably choose a really good person then, because the Egyptian mythology throughout the show is actually really, really spot on.
Yeah, so it's the lead director in this his name is Mohammed Diab, and I was actually looking through his Wikipedia. He doesn't have a lot of filmography background with Hollywood. I mean, he has some experience. I think these seems like a little bit more international films, whether with the Egyptian cinematography organization.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or independent films. That's what it looks like. I mean, I'm not too sure. He has a bunch of awards from different film festivals, but I haven't seen anything from a Hollywood perspective. Something that you would see in a mass production of California, of America. Yeah, it feels like this is his first big break.
Big break is Moon Knight, an MCU film. I guess that's similar to Simu Liu because he was. Well, actually, he did shows though.
Okay, I guess jumping on to Simu Liu, I mean, I think his first big show was Kim's Convenience. Really, that's how I knew of him.
That's how I remember him. I remember him too from Kim's Convenience.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of people within the Asian American community knew him was from Kim's Convenience, and then he made the jump to Shang-Chi.
For me, I wasn't as impressed in the beginning. I do watch the show with my friend, and we both feel the same. Where it was slow in the beginning.
Yeah, that's great. I like it when shows take their time to build up the atmosphere and the characters. The reason why I say it's not like your typical Marvel one is because it doesn't just jump straight into the thick of the plot. Battle. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing for WandaVision, but even then it's
experience with the character before.
You had experience with Wanda and Vision, so you kind of knew who they were already prior going into the show.
Bias.
And from there you can kind of see how that's kind of slow and it feels a little bit slower paced.
Yeah.
But I felt like this one, at least for Moon Knight, this is a brand new character. That's actually probably the greatest thing about Moon Knight is that no one knows who this character is.
Yeah, that's true. It's coming in blind, coming in with no expectations.
That's not even expectations. It's just you don't really know anything about them.
If you read the comments, you did. Nah,
did you? Well, how many people read the Moon Knight comics?
I mean,
probably not that many.
I read a good majority. I never felt that Moon Knight was a popular character, but I felt the same way about Black Panther. I'm like, they're gonna do a movie on Black Panther. Even the Guardians of Galaxy. But Moon Knight, especially, I was kind of like, what is his big thing? What does he do? And I guess they explained that throughout the whole 3 episodes so far. Right?
Yeah. Well, I feel like they changed a lot of who Moon Knight is from the comics for good reason, right? Because I think originally he was supposed to be just like this vigilante that kind of like went for criminals, and he was like an agent of Khonshu, or an Egyptian god, and just catching criminals and all that.
That sounds like fun, but I feel like adding in the multiple personalities, and I don't know if that was originally in the comic books per se, but having the multiple personalities really creates a different dynamic, I feel.
Well, not only that, but the way they portrayed the multiple personalities was very different, or very unique, or not unique, but very interesting.
Yeah, Oscar Isaacs does a really good job of separating these personalities. Yeah. Episode 3 is really where I felt like he was like a really strong actor. I was like, oh, this guy's a good actor. Like, he can talk to himself, he could do this.
You weren't impressed from like episode 1 where he was talking in like this British accent?
I thought that was his normal accent.
That's not his normal.
His normal accent.
That's not the way he normally talks.
Well, and going through episode 1, we do see that he's chained up. He has sand around him, and you're wondering why he's doing that. Is because he has these night blackouts that he ends up in random places. And then the major cutscenes, but we see in episode 1 that it actually is very much a Steven's perspective. We don't even know about Mark Spector right off the bat.
Sure, I mean, he doesn't make an appearance until probably like the very end of the episode, right? That's like when he wakes up in some foreign land. He meets Arthur Harrow, and he has like this mysterious scarab artifact in his hand, right? And so like that's like and that's also when you kind of see like the switch between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, and then also like this mysterious voice of Khonshu in the background.
That caught me off guard. His voice first was very somewhat off-putting for me. It seemed kind of comical because of the way he was just like verbally, oh no, we got the idiot now. Oh, we got this. Yeah. And it was a little bit off-putting, I'm not gonna lie. But when we saw Khonshu, I was like, who the heck is this guy, right?
Wait, you don't see Khonshu until the next episode.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like,
so like the entire first episode, you were just like, you weren't used to it until
the
second episode. What about like the ending of episode 1, where he's like in the mirror, and you see the transformation of like this like ceremonial robe just come out of nowhere. It reminded me a lot of like how the old Spawn movie would show the suit come on.
When it would come out, right? And then, similarly, I mean, he has a cape, he has all this other great stuff. For me, it reminded me of like the way that everyone else gets their armor, or everyone gets their costumes, right? Like Iron Man, nanotechnology, of course. Yeah. I guess everyone else just has to put on their clothes, but not Moon Knight. This seems to be the most mysterious and magical
hero of so far,
powered by the gods. But we do see that Moon Knight, Mark Spector, does eventually take over and then starts fighting this kind of werewolf. Or I think they said a specific name for the animal, and it wasn't a werewolf.
Oh, I remember everyone was in the trailers were saying it's a werewolf, it's werewolf man.
It's punching the werewolf. But I, who knows? I mean, I could be wrong, because when I was watching it, I tried to watch it so many times. So the first episode was really hard for me. But
I thought it was actually fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. The way they kind of built it up, and then also like kept the mystery the entire time too.
Right, exactly.
I think that was the most impressive thing, was like they managed to keep this mysterious atmosphere around the whole time until like, later on into like until like the end of episode 2, I would say.
Right, and then like episode two kind of peels back the curtain a little bit.
Hmm.
Episode two we do get to see Layla, who is apparently the wife of Mark Spector. In episode one, we saw that there was a whole bunch of missed calls. Did you see that in the missed calls there was this one person that was
Yeah.
amongst all the Laylas? I wonder
Yeah,
who
I,
that person.
I honestly don't know, but I did see that as well. So I'm kind of curious if he's gonna make an appearance in the later episodes.
Yeah, and I think so. Heading into episode two, kind of gave Mark Spector the time to shine because mostly in the beginning, episode one, we were seeing Stephen Grant, and we got to see now a little bit of Mark Spector's life where so cinematically and story wise, it is kind of interesting because there's all these missing pieces to the puzzle, and then
Yeah.
we're seeing everything kind of come
Yeah,
together.
and and I think like the appearance of Khonshu in the first place, right, was extremely satisfying to watch. Him just like appearing like as a mysterious like skulled figure
Oh
slowly
yeah,
approaching you. Like that was pretty
scary.
intense. That was pretty intense. Yeah. That was an intense scene. Not gonna lie.
I have nightmares. I see Concha in my dreams.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh my god, that was honestly really really badass. It was like if any god has like gets an A+ for showmanship, that I give Khonshu the
The
A
first
plus.
reveal.
Yeah, the first reveal. Yeah,
And then everything takes, of course, place in Europe for the first two episodes. And then the third episode, we actually end up in Egypt, which, of course, is the origin of all these gods. And, where I think, they were
Well,
doing.
oh, one thing
Okay.
I do also want to talk about is like the distinction of the suits between Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. That was cool. Like I thought that was pretty clever actually.
Well, that he's in a suit with like a normal human being suit with a white mask.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I thought that was pretty clever how they distinguished between who was who wearing the suit when
That's
they had the
true.
suit on.
Right. And I guess, yeah, identifying it like that kind of
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense. I didn't even think that other people could use the suit.
But
Other
it's the same. It's the
personalities.
same body, I guess. I mean, it's just different personalities.
Right. Yeah. But to identify what is actually happening, they, portrayed in like the suit, or they portrayed in the Moon Knight, original design
It feels like the suit is like a representation of your inner
personality.
thought, your inner personality, right? So like
Right.
when people were saying, "Oh, put on the suit," he was immediately just thought of like an actual tailored suit.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was. It was a suit,
Yeah.
and I feel like he's very comical because in episode three he does take over Mark Spector and then has a suit on, and he's just like so comical. And of course, the reason why everybody is all doing this and there's so much espionage and everyone's trying to get to Egypt is because this little scarab that was discovered in the hands of Stephen Grant. And
Yeah,
then
in
that-
episode 1, right?
that was all episode one. But what I'm saying is that's what kicks off the whole journey, right?
No,
Why
I
is
mean
it
basically
weird?
the scarab, right?
Only
I
weird
mean,
'cause you need to
obviously in episode 1, we find out that they're after the scarab, which is supposed to be a compass that leads to the tomb of Ammit, right? And Ammit is supposed to be one of the Egyptian gods in that pantheon that's been sealed away by the rest of the Egyptian gods, right? Because she was killing people before they even committed evil, right? That was her own thing, was serving out justice before evil could actually take place.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's kind of leads into like the whole character Arthur Harrow, who was like the former avatar of Khonshu. And I think
Well,
that's probably another thing too, is the character of Arthur Harrow. I don't think that he played such a big part in the original comics. I think
not at all. Yeah. I don't think he has a strong character, right? But
Yeah,
they
I don't
made-
think so either. So I think they literally took him and turned him into a much bigger role than what was initially created for.
But it's great because now he's the one who's gonna actually release him. I guess they do. I guess a summoning of all the gods to kind of pass judgment.
They're running out of leads in Egypt, right? Because they need to find the tomb, but they don't know where it is without the
Some
scarab.
people dying. They're killing themselves, right? For Amit.
Oh, they're loyal fanatics to Arthur Harrow. All right, praise Amit and all that. So obviously Mark Spector and Khonshu devised a plan in order to summon the gods in order to put Arthur Harrow on trial, right? To talk about, convince everyone that he's trying to summon Amit from the tomb. Then, so actually that part is what surprised me the most, was the fact that we got introduced to the different gods and the different avatars for each of the Egyptian gods in that inner circle of the Egyptian pantheon. I thought that was really interesting. I wasn't expecting that at all.
What, for them to do like a trial?
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't expect them. Yeah, I didn't expect them to really show them like right off the bat, in this kind of scene. And it kind of leads me to like a lot of questions now about the whole MCU universe, right? Oh. One of them is being like, they're supposedly gods, but then it's like, are these gods similar statue or similar entities of, like, say for example the Eternals, because they're technically gods too, right? Because you have people like Gilgamesh. I mean, Gilgamesh wasn't a god, but he was a hero. You had Athena, right, and you had Osiris, who were both. Well, Athena was a god, was a Greek goddess of wisdom, and so
the Eternals. Athena was not the same Athena, so she wasn't the goddess of wisdom because her name is spelled differently. They say. Well,
I feel like that was just a mistranslation. Like everyone took her as Athena, but her real name was just Athena. I thought that was just what the play on they were trying to do.
So they did do an interview because I watched the post-credit interview about the gods, and they split. So they have, of course, Norse mythology gods, right? They have the Egyptian gods. So every I guess every single ethnicity has its own type of gods. Sure. And so MCU does have its own gods, but it doesn't fit, I guess, completely in this whole kind of cosmos. I think they're going to try to hopefully explain all of that, because like you have Loki, right, god of mischief, you have all these different
but the
gods.
Thing is like those gods, like for example the Asgardians, like Thor, Loki, Odin, Freya, obviously those gods feel very, very different from the gods that we see in the Egyptians, right? They don't they don't use avatars to champion on Earth to influence everything. Right. And it seems like they have their priorities are more about regarding the 9 realms that they have domain over, right? Yeah. Midgard being one of them. But then it's like, where do the Egyptian gods come from? And how do they fit into it? And like, and then the later question is like, how come they didn't interfere with Thanos, right, during Infinity War? That's like probably the number one question now everyone's going to be asking with every new iteration of a god or cosmic being.
Well, and then they have to come up with an explanation for all of them, right?
Yeah, now they do. And now they have to kind of fit it all into this little mold that they have.
It is very interesting. I think MCU is definitely going very cosmos, very magical, especially with Doctor Strange and then the multiverses. It's a very unusual, expansive universe. And I feel like now they're introducing so many crazy characters that it's like, well, kind of out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions now circulating around like the introduction of like the Egyptian pantheon gods. It's like, are they aware of the other gods? Like, are they aware of the Eternals? Are they aware of like the celestial beings? What about the Asgardians? Do they have like their own home planet? Are they just advanced alien beings?
Yeah. I mean, that is a good question. I mean, hopefully they do explore it and kind of like expound upon like where everybody fits, right? Because even with Thanos is a Titan, right? So, and he was a son of a Celestial, right? And then
was he?
He was, yeah. He was a son of a Celestial.
But wasn't he born on the world of Titan?
Yeah, I don't know if it was his mom or dad, but he was born of a Celestial. The Celestials created the
Infinity Stones.
The Eternals, right, were
creations of the celestial beings.
Yeah, so Thanos is an Eternal. Sorry, he's an Eternal.
He's an Eternal, so he's a machine that was created by the celestial beings?
Yeah, because remember at the end of Eternals, it was him, and then they also talk about his brother, because his brother Eros was also a he was
Oh,
also
yeah, I forgot that Thanos had a brother named
yeah,
Eros. That was kind of weird.
an eternal deviant warlord from the moon Titan. So he's from Titan, but he's one of the he is considered an eternal.
I'm honestly really confused. Like I think that's probably the reason why this I like this one more, is because it feels so disconnected
Right.
from the rest
From
of
the
the
whole
MCU.
MCU. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, so they're saying that see, when you talk about he's a Titan, so a Titan is more of an ethnicity rather than a race. So like because the moon of this world is called Titan, so he's from Titan, but he's his species is an eternal. But I mean, I think that's good to kind of clarify all of these different marks for the MCU, because it does get kind of confusing, and they're expanding the world so quickly. And then of course now you have variants, right? But going back to Moon Knight, we do see them go on trial. Ethan Hawke, he convinces all the gods that this avatar for Khonshu is actually broken. He's actually not of sound mind and body. And then what the avatar does admit that he is not of sound mind and body, because he has associative disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also are kind of alluding to the third personality in the third episode, right? Yeah. Obviously, there's a scene where Mark Spector is chasing or fighting off of these followers of Amit, and it kind of switches between Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, but then switches back to Mark Spector. However, everyone's dead at the end,
that was intense.
It was crazy, yeah. And so it begs the question: is like, obviously Stephen Grant is not the type of person to murder people, right? Because he's trying to run away from the fight. And Mark Spector, I mean, obviously he was unconscious. So, it begs the question, like, what's going on between the two? Is there a third one? And we do know that in the comics that there are three personalities, right? There's Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and a third one, his name is Jake Lockley. And he's a cab driver, I believe, in the comics.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a cab driver killing people.
Yeah, so maybe they are alluding to the fact that there is the third personality, Jake Lockley, who we haven't seen make an appearance yet. So it's unconfirmed. I mean, it could just be Khonshu himself interfering.
Yeah. Which actually, now that you kind of mention it, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant weren't naturally killers, because when Mark Spector talks to Khonshu, he's just a kid. So that he didn't have like a killer instinct or a killer intent, right? And then Khonshu didn't have killer intent either. So there must be a third person, because when you think about it, Khonshu was like, oh yeah, let's just scare him, hold him off the edge, and then of course he ends up cutting his
Well,
spine.
I don't know about that. I mean, Khonshu is a type of character to withhold information to benefit his own needs, right? So there's really no much telling of how much he actually knows about, Mark Spector's condition.
Yeah.
So for all we know, he could be aware of a third personality, but he just isn't telling him about it for whatever purpose.
Yeah, and that of course leads into another section where, of course, they're trying to find the tomb of Amit, which, if for some reason is still a mystery. They go to see Layla's old contact, because apparently, you remember the opening scene for episode 3 where they had the passport and all of that stuff. It did show that her origin was from Egypt. She obviously has a lot of contacts, right? And because, like you said before, Mark Spector had no leads, he ends up, brokering information to kind of get to this. I guess he was also another follower too of Amit.
Well, no, he wasn't a follower of Amit. He's a philanthropist, or self-proclaimed philanthropist, who was hoarding a lot of Egyptian artifacts. So the one thing they had in his possession was the sarcophagus of Amit, right? Which is what they needed to look at, because apparently it holds like a certain map or key to the tomb as well. which is what, and it was like their one way of finding it without the use of the scarab. Arthur Harrow makes an appearance at that same place because
he's everywhere.
He probably does, because he probably has a wide range of contacts literally in every single part of the world.
And he also has like mind control powers too, right? For the
no, he doesn't have mind control. He's just a very, very convincing, charismatic person.
Okay.
He knows how to convince
people.
What
does the staff do? The staff just brings the demigorgons, the werewolves?
Well, the staff, I feel like, does a lot of things. It contains a small amount of power from Amit, right? Yeah. For one, it allows him to summon creatures from, I'm going to guess they're creatures from the underworld. Or something like that, or from the netherworld, or wherever it is, like, you know, the Egyptians.
Some evil place.
Not evil place, but I feel like it's some place where it's whatever the equivalent of the Egyptian
underworld is, yeah.
Underworld is, yeah. So they summon that, and it also contains power that allows him to destroy the sarcophagus.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was weird. You destroyed.
It's interesting that it glows purple, the same way that the Soul Stone glowed purple.
Oh, you think
I'm probably like jumping to conclusions here.
Like reaching for
I'm just probably reaching for like some oversimplification, but I wonder if there is like some connection between the staff or the powers of Amit and the staff and like the Soul Stone, right?
Nope.
Because the Soul Stone, I mean, obviously, if you remember, the Infinity Stones are essences of each characteristic, right? You have space, time, reality, and soul, right? Being the last, or being one of them. And Amit is obviously the goddess of
souls. Goddess of soul. There, and we've come full circle. That day's come full circle. It's gonna be funny. Like you find out what Amit's the god of, you're like, oh, just nothing.
I guess she's just. I think she's just a personification of retribution, right? Because her symbol for power is a balanced scale, right? That you can kind of see that with Arthur Harrow. Tattoo
on his tattoo, right?
That's right. And it
he also kills people with that. He kills people with that.
Well, that's part of like the power is like it judges people's entire future and personality, and if it deems them worthy, it keeps them alive. If not, it kills them.
But I don't understand where he received this power, because it's not like he got it from he
got it from Amit, right? That's the whole thing. That's why he's going to look for her.
What's the point of containing Amit if Amit, like, someone can imbue with Amit's powers and go around just manipulating?
Because she herself probably can't interfere with the mortal realm. Like,
is that going to be the same thing with Khonshu? Because remember, the Egyptian gods did seal, and
so yeah. I mean, I'm guessing Khonshu, now that he's in prison. Okay. Going ahead, right? Like, they obviously had to turn back the sky. They turned back time with the night sky.
That was cool.
But yeah, they went back 2,000 years into the past to look at the constellations from 2,000 years ago, so that they could pinpoint where the tomb was.
Was that weird that everyone could see it?
No, it wasn't. It was literally changing reality. That's the reason why he got imprisoned. Because they said in the trial, or in the trials, like, if you mess with the sky one more time, we will turn you into stone.
Right. No, I do remember that. And what really just is unusual for me, and this is just something that I'm like wanting to point out, is that when and I hate to go back to episode 1, but Stephen Grant was being chased by the demidogs, and
demidogs.
From the demidogs, right? And remember when they looked at the camera, they couldn't see who was chasing him, right? Yeah. It didn't show up on camera. And later on they revealed that it was like, oh, he can see it because he's connected to Khonshu.
Yeah, and normal people can't see it.
But why is it that now Khonshu does this eclipse, everybody sees it?
Well, no, because the thing is, like, they're summons from another world, right? From another dimension, or from the other world, or from wherever they come from. Right, that's not the same as Khonshu literally messing with the night sky. It's not the same thing.
Yeah,
it's not like.
So he's messing with the night sky, the 2,000 years going back in time, and everyone can see it.
Yeah, because imagine if like the sky just started changing colors. Of course, everyone's gonna start seeing it.
Yes, of course, I would see that. I mean, that would be nuts. That would be crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't wait till that happens. I want someone to do that. Like today.
You want someone to mess with the sky?
Yeah, but how is it? So that's actually brings.
And the thing is, you also see like that when he interferes with the sky in the first place to create the eclipse. I mean, obviously everyone saw that as well. That's too. Right. Yeah. So it's consistent.
But it's so unusual to think that, like, did he turn back time for the sky but not the earth?
Just he turned back the sky. It's like, I guess the effect is like a clock. You're rewinding a clock backwards in time.
You're all just watching the clock go backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, Quincy, he's a god. He can do whatever he wants. It's magical powers.
Okay.
It's the classic Marvel explanation.
There's just no rules anymore.
It's the classic Marvel explanation. You know, they're gods. They can do cool things. But
nice. Oh, and then shortly after that, what ends up happening is that he does get encased in stone, right? Going into episode 4, we're trying to see if he still has his powers, right?
That's gonna be a question. Is like if he probably doesn't have his powers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but he got pretty beat up, man. He was getting stabbed all the way through, and he looked like he got some beatings. And luckily, he saved his girlfriend or his wife. Sorry. What do you think? Do you think that Stephen Grant is her girlfriend, but Mark Spector is her wife? Is his wife?
I have no idea, honestly. That's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, but that kind of catches us up all the way to see episode 3. I don't know if you guys have been watching Moon Knight. Love it as much as Jeremy loves it. I'm still not convinced just yet. I do like the show.
What is it that you just don't like about it?
It's just maybe it's just too much Egyptian gods. You know, I mean, you like history. It's just not interesting. Can I just say that? It's not interesting.
Okay. Well, you just have really bad taste. I get it.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Or maybe you have bad.
No. I think other people like it too.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments below if you like it as much as Jeremy, or if you're still on the fence, which I hope a lot of people do comment that they're on the fence. Because I'm still on the fence. I'm still on the fence with this. But like and subscribe to the video. Check out Moon Knight on Disney Plus. We do have a few more episodes to go, so check back here and then just see how it all comes together in the MCU. See you next time.